Hey y'all, today's guest is Thommy Kane, which I'm really excited about. It's number 12. Can you believe we've done 12 podcasts? And I'm really looking forward to all the many podcasts we're going to do to the end of the year. Thommy Kane is a good friend of mine, and I know I always say that, but mostly the guests have been good friends of mine so far because I know them through music or one way or another, and Thommy is no exception. I get together on Friday, sometimes Saturday nights with a group of friends, and we do this jam where we just play music. Mostly it's songs that they're classic rock or pop songs, because when you get a bunch of people together for the first time in a while, you have to do songs that everybody knows. Every once in a while, I get to do a song that I've always wanted to do. I'll say, I know I'll never get to do this song live. Can we try this? So that's always fun for me. One night I heard Thommy break into a rap song, and I was like, wow, this guy's pretty good. I've since come to find that he's a very prolific rapper, hip-hop artist, and he's just recently released, a 30 song compilation through Spotify. And that's a lot of songs, right? We're going to play one at the end of this podcast, so you got to check that out. Recently, he's got into filmmaking, and he made his own movie about 2 years ago, which I saw. I went to a film festival in Hollywood, and I believe it's won some awards. He, I think, mostly produced it. I know he mostly directed it, and he wrote it. It is autobiographical, and I'm sure it was a labor of love for him, and he's going to talk about that. But I'm really excited for you to check out this interview with Thommy Kane, my friend. So stick around. Welcome to my podcast, where I'll be speaking with guests candidly about interesting topics. So join me on Candid with Kimbra. Hey, Thommy, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
How you doing? I'm doing good.
How you doing?
I know. You're dressed all cool and music and, hip hoppy. And I thought today I'm going to go for the more like businessy kind of, messy bun, loose look. So anyway, there you go. So, I know we've known each other for a while through music, really, right? Because through our mutual friends that we sometimes hang out with, Blum and company, right?
Absolutely.
And but I did want to ask you a couple things that I didn't really know, because I know some things about you, but I don't know a lot of things about you. How old were you when you got into hip hop? Was it like from a really young age?
Yeah, I was 9. I actually know exactly how old I was. I was 9 years old, and I had a cousin that came over my house, and I was living in the projects in Massachusetts. It was called the Essex Street Projects. It was a very rough neighborhood. And my cousin comes over, and he's like, hey, I'm staying the night. I was super excited. When you're a kid, you love to have like the sleepovers and people by. And I was like, cool. And I was like, he's like, yeah, because we would stay up late listening to music, showing each other music. And he was like, you got to hear this new music. And he played me LL Cool J. And I remember when he played it for me, I literally was like, it was like I don't even know. It was like from another planet. I had never heard anything like that before in my life. And I just remember going, I can do that. Like even at like 9, I was like, I think I could do that. And so I immediately at 9 years old went in and wrote a rap. And I still remember it to this day. And I would go and rhyme it to my mom, and she was like, oh my God, that's amazing. I can't believe you just did that. So every time company would come over, she'd be like, Thommy, come out and do that rap thing again you did. Thommy, come out and do that rap thing you did. And it just ended up becoming this thing. And then by 11 or 12, I was battling kids for their tater tots in the school lunchroom. I'd be like, yo, I want to battle you. If I win, I get your tater tots. And they'd be like, all right, I'd be battle rapping them in the lunchroom. And I mean, yeah, ever since I was 9 years old, I was infatuated with hip hop. It's been my life.
Wow. Sure. That's really cool. I mean, now the only hip hop that I really got into, which you're probably going to roll your eyes, but which is Eminem. I really liked Eminem's 8 Mile, the movie, and that got me into it.
Sure.
But did you like him at all, or?
Yeah, I was very inspired because Vanilla Ice kind of came out and he ruined it basically for everybody. Like he kind of ruined it. Like he made it so that like if you were a white guy trying to rap,
Mm-hmm.
you weren't you weren't gonna, go
Legit,
anywhere.
basic,
Yeah,
basic.
it was over. It was like, oh, white guy, done.
Right,
And
right.
then all of a sudden one day I'm like watching TV and I see this guy come out and he's produced by Dr. Dre. I see Dre in the video and he just comes out and he's like, hi, my name is what? My name is Chicka Chicka Slim Shit. And I remember just going like, whoa, you know? And then what's funny is I had heard Eminem before that, like
Right.
about a year and a half before that on a mixtape that people had showed me. And I remember being blown away because these dudes were like, yo, you need to hear this white guy. He's winning rap battles. And I remember listening to him going, damn, this dude is nasty. But I didn't put two and two together. When I saw Eminem on the screen, I did not go, oh, that's the guy. I didn't realize it. And then I went over to my friend Jesse's house. We used to just do nothing but talk about rap music. It was like everything to us.
Mm.
Um, and I was like, yo, do you hear this guy Eminem? He goes, dude, yeah, that's the guy I showed you on the mixtapes. That was like, and I went, that's the same guy. And I just remember being blown away. And then, of course, yeah, he gave me a lot of hope. He gave me hope that I said, man, it can be done. It can be done. Like I'm white and I could rap and like this is like a reality. And yeah, it inspired me. But unfortunately, um, just like Vanilla Ice, I think it wound up closing a lot of doors because right around the time I started getting in the music business, everybody was comparing every white rapper to him. And it just became like, oh, you're trying to be like Eminem. And I'd
Right.
be like, what do you, like, I don't even sound anything like Eminem, but they would just see white skin and be like, you're
That's
trying to be
true.
like Eminem.
That's
Like,
true. I mean, that does, you make a good point because it's like with regular, well, with like pop songs, there's room for a lot of different people. So just because you're white doesn't mean that you're going to automatically be, pigeonholed into the Eminem slot, right? And
true.
your voice is so much different. Like I've been listening to your music, "The Hearts Cannot Be Broken." There's like 10 or 12 songs, right?
Oh, 30.
30. Oh my gosh. Well, I got a
It's a
confession.
30 song album. It's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah.
Well,
It's a double album.
yeah, it's so funny because I don't really go on Spotify that much, unfortunately. And I was going to ask you why you picked Spotify, but and it just says, it lists about 10 or 12 songs, and then it says "and more," and I'm like, oh, really? I'm like, I haven't gotten to the "and more" yet. So,
Right.
but it's really good. I mean, there's a couple songs that, like "Love and War," I thought was really. I like the kind of more mellow, slow songs.
It's
Love
one
and
of my
War,
favorite. It's good
yeah.
taste.
And
Thank
that
you.
girl's, thank you. That girl, Sid Franklin, is that her name? Sid.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, she's really good.
Abs Just the greatest singer I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah,
She's so good. She's
she's
just
really
it's overwhelming.
good. And then in
It makes
another,
me feel like I have no talent. Like whenever I'm in
oh,
the room with her, what I'm saying? Like I feel like a phony.
well, she's got a different style than you for sure.
Yeah, I
And,
know.
and then in another life was one I liked too. And then We the People. I thought that was really good because it's
Mm.
so relevant. The lyrics.
Yeah, yeah. We the People, that actually was on an older album, but
Mm,
I know when people are listening to the new album, Spotify has a tendency to just mix in old
I
songs
mean,
from old stuff so
oh,
people
okay,
can't
got
tell. Yeah, it happens constantly. But We the People was like I didn't even actually release that on an album.
it. Mhm.
I wrote that during the first Trump election. And
Mm.
the Trump and who was it that he ran against? Hillary Clinton. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I can't believe I forgot that. Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump.
Right.
And I was kind of like in this different mind state at the time. I remember I was just sort of sick of government and politics and people arguing about all that crap when, it just felt like it didn't really matter who would win. Your life's not really going to change unless you figure out a way to change it. And so I just made that song at that time with that feeling. And
Mhm.
I was surprised that at the reception that it got because it got a lot of views, more than anything I've ever put out ever in my whole career. So it was pretty
Yeah,
crazy.
no, it's really good, and it's really relevant to what's happening right now. So yeah, I'm glad that it's getting attention. Yeah, so I was going to ask you, why did you go through Spotify? Is that like a better deal for you if you go through Spotify?
No, I happen to release through DistroKid, and DistroKid is a partner of Spotify, so everything's instant to Spotify. Whereas Apple seems to be just a major pain in the neck right now. Like they continuously keep on telling me that my account needs to be verified when I've done it like 50 times, and
Right.
they keep on going, it still needs to be verified. So even though DistroKid is sending them my music, they're not putting it out. They haven't put out anything that I've done in like 12 years. And I've
Really?
made a lot of music, and I'm just over it. And I have a lot of fans that are like, "Hey, how come this isn't on Apple Music?" I'm like, and I have to explain it every time.
Right.
And so I'm just over it. I don't know. But like Spotify's been good to me. When I put it out on distro, it goes to Spotify and to everywhere else, Google Plus, Amazon Prime, or Plus Music, whatever it is.
Right.
It goes to YouTube. It goes everywhere. It just for some reason does not get on Apple.
Yeah, I know Apple's always a little thing. Like even with this podcast, we're on Spotify, but Apple's a separate little deal. And I'm with DistroKid also. I mean, I release music through just DistroKid also, so I know what you mean. But I was just curious. I didn't really know why, because you'd asked once on Facebook about it. You'd asked like, like where do you guys get your music?
Yeah.
Um, so anyway, so I want to go back a little bit. So you said as a little kid. Now I wanted to ask you. You always say you're from Boston, but are you really from Maine, or are you from are you from Boston?
I am from Boston.
Right.
I was where I was born
Mhm.
was Methuen, Mass, which is about 25 minutes outside of Boston.
Right.
But Boston is, I was in a suburb of Boston, I guess you could say, like an outer suburb of Boston. And then of course I lived in Boston as well with as a kid growing up with my mom. We bounced around a lot,
Mhm.
but we definitely had some places we lived in downtown Boston on D Street area and things like that. And then we lived in various areas around Boston, but originally I am from Boston. I didn't go to Maine until I think I had just no, I think I was 17.
Mhm.
And I was living in Indianapolis,
Mhm.
which is I know I bounce around a lot. My life story is insane. My
Well, but
mom,
I saw the movie that you did, which we're going to talk about. But yeah,
yeah,
I realize you had a challenging upbringing, right?
we had no stability. I mean, at the end of the day, my mother was, as you know, she was a drug addict and sold drugs, was a criminal in and out of jail, and she bounced around constantly. She would burn bridges and then just be like, "Come on, let's go. We're going here. We're going there." So, I think I counted once, and I went to like something like 9 high schools in three and a half years or something like that.
Mhm.
So like I never had the chance to make friends or have stability or like ever feel grounded in any one area. It was crazy.
And
But I went to Maine around 17. Sorry.
that's okay. Um, so what about your dad? Did your parents were they ever together, or did they get divorced, or?
They were divorced when I was 2. It didn't work out very, very early. And I didn't really I was around my dad up until about 11, and then my dad took off.
Mhm.
Um, and I didn't really know him. And I wouldn't even say my dad took off. It might even be more like my mom took off
Oh,
and took me with her. And my sister. It was just they didn't work out, and I wound up with my mom. But I was going back and forth with my dad till about 11. And then after that, when I moved to Florida, another place
yeah.
with my mom,
You guys were
me and my
similar.
father lost touch. We just stopped talking for a long, long time. And I didn't really know him until my mother had passed. And then we reunited at her funeral. And then I got to know him a little bit more. And I had a lot of resentments towards him. And I talked to a buddy of mine, Moses Smith. Shout out to Moses Smith. I love him. And I said, my dad wants to meet me and hang out with me. And I don't really know if I want to do that because I hate his guts. He wasn't around, all that. And he was stuff. Sorry. Young
Okay.
kid stuff.
We'll
And,
bleep that out.
sorry. And he was like, he's like, if I had the chance to meet my dad, he's like, I would kill for that, man. He's like, you should go do it. And I did, and I'm glad I did. And me and him have been very, very close ever since. And that's my guy. I mean, that's my buddy. I have a dad in my life, and I'm fortunate to still have him. He's 7 years old.
That's awesome. I
Yeah,
mean,
he's a good guy.
your mom died young then, huh?
She did. She died at 45, and I was 20 in April. Let's see, 2002. I was I think I 24. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, oh,
So,
wow, I'm
or
sorry.
it might have been 20. I think it was 23 because I didn't turn 24 yet because it was April. But yeah, I was like 23 years old, and it was catastrophic. I had just gotten a record deal, and I was in New York at this place called the Peninsula Hotel, which is one of the most expensive, glamorous hotels you've heard.
Yeah.
And Yeah, it's a fantastic hotel that the label put me in, and I'm living life. I'm popping Cristal champagne bottles. I'm like living the like the greatest life. And then I get a phone call, my mom died, and it just destroyed me. It was like, yeah, I was never really ever allowed, I feel like, in my life to have highs. There was always something that had to yank them down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, losing a parent at a young age like that, because that's tough, and especially your mom, you know, and
Mm.
you probably didn't get to know her. I mean, you didn't get to have the like some conversations that you probably would have liked to have had, you know, because was she still addicted to drugs at the time that she died?
Yeah, well, she had gotten sober for a few years, and then she wound up walking down the street. This is about a year and a half before she died. She was walking down the street. She hadn't done drugs in a couple of years,
Mm-hmm.
and she passed out, fainted on the sidewalk. They brought her to the hospital, and it turned out she had a heart disease, and she got diagnosed with this at 44. I think it was 43, 44. And at the time, as a young person, I didn't realize heart disease isn't a big deal, that a lot of people have heart disease, and there's so many variants of it. And a lot of it is like you take medicine, eat right, do what you have to do, and you can manage it. You can live with heart disease.
Sure.
That time I thought, I was like, oh my God, you have heart, my mom's going to die. Like, I didn't, you know what I mean? It was just like,
Yeah.
I thought it was like death.
Mhm.
And so did she. Well, I think more, she knew better I'm sure, but she decided to say, hey, you know what? I have heart disease. I'm not going to take medicine. I had my record deal, and I said, come out here, mom. Come out to LA. I'll put you up. We'll get you the best. I'll buy you a new heart. I don't care. I'll, whatever. I'll take all my money. I'll heal you. We'll figure it out. And she was just like, no, I'm going to go down to Florida. I'm going to see your sister, make amends with her. And then I'm going to,
Twice. No, I'm kidding.
it's not going to happen again.
No, I'm kidding.
And she said, and then I'm just going to party until I drop.
Yeah.
And that's what she did. She was like, I'm going to live how I want to live, and go out with a bang and rage for a year and a half. And then she died in a motel. They found her dead in a motel.
Was your sister with her?
She wasn't with her, but she was the one that, had to go and identify and all that. And she was there dealing with the whole situation. I was in California, but it was sad, man, because my mother wasn't a very happy person. She had been sexually assaulted many, many times. She had, she was very abused physically by her father. She had a lot of issues with her, childhood growing up. And, she was in a lot of pain emotionally. She was dealing with a lot of crap. And so I think my mother had this attitude that she was more than happy to go young. And I remember one time, interesting enough, I was talking to her at the dinner table, and I think I was 13.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, Mom, you ever, worry about dying? And I started having this fear of death conversation with her. And she said, no, I look forward to it. She goes, I look forward to it. And I said, if you could die at any age, what age would it be? And I remember her telling me mid 40s. And I remember as a kid at 13, I thought that was kind of old, because, when you're a kid, you don't really think about it.
It's like you dying soon, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm older than that now. And I'm like, I feel like a youthful person right now. How could anybody want to die at this age? But my mother had a fear of aging. And I remember her always telling me, like, I don't want to be old. Because my mother was always very beautiful, and everywhere she went, men were always super attracted to her. And she was always just this center of attention, beautiful woman that got all this attention. And at the end of the day, I think she just thought of this like old as like,
She won't get any more attention.
yeah. And it would just be like horrible to live in this world where she's written off, and is some old person that, or whatever. And that was like a fear that she had, a genuine one, I think, like and I don't mean genuine like it was a good fear to have. I mean genuine in that it was authentic to her. Like
Right.
she really, really was scared of it.
Well, maybe, I guess I mean, I don't know what she did. Well, I do know what she did, like you said. I don't know if she never really developed other things maybe about her personality that, so everything was about her looks. And,
Right.
you know, so,
And I gotta tell you, it really shaped who I am as a person because um I was there watching men come into her life and be like, she'd be like, hey, I'm homeless. I don't have any money. I got a kid I have to feed. He's 12. We need help. And men looking at her like, oh yeah, what are you gonna
mm,
do for me? And so, you know, I think that there's a reason why she felt like that was her only value. I don't think it was because, I think she was taught to believe that by the things that happened to her in her life.
well,
You know what
yeah.
I mean?
You said her dad had done things too.
Right. She was, and I think that, it became kind of like this thing where it made me the way I am, especially like because when I see that stuff, I get extraordinarily angry, and I'm all about empowering women in any
Sure.
way that I can because I saw what that looks like when that's the situation, and it's terrible. It's awful.
No, and God, that is just I'm so sorry to hear that. But and it seems like, in my eyes, you've come out really great considering your what happened to you, being bouncing around so much, and you have respect for people, and you're all about making your life better, right? And
Yeah, I mean, I try, I mean, I kind of figured it out a few years back that I used to always put everything in the little boxes of right and wrong. Like, I mean, I think a lot of us do, but I kind of realized that, we don't really know if we're right or if we're wrong.
yeah,
At the end of the day, we don't know because things haven't played out. We don't know. But I guess what you have to kind of figure out is, are you doing in that moment what you know in your heart feels right? Or are you doing in that moment what you know in your heart feels wrong? When
mm,
you take like a Puff Daddy, for instance, right? Or P. Diddy, well,
sure.
I'm sure when he was drugging women or whatever he was accused of doing, I'm sure when he was doing it, he knew in his heart what he was doing was wrong.
Sure. I
And
believe
so
that.
yeah, I feel like, you have decent people who do what they feel in their heart is right, and then you have the other people that don't seem to care. And I try to be at least a decent person who does all the time what I feel in my heart is the right thing to do.
Right. Yeah,
At
that's
least.
true. I think most people know the difference between right and wrong, but I'm sure there's some people that do know the difference between right and wrong and still do the wrong thing because for whatever reason they make bad choices. I don't know.
Yeah. God complexes. They think they're untouchable, that they can do.
Yeah.
I mean,
Eh,
Delulu.
Lulu, yeah,
The
agree.
Salulu is not Delulu.
I know. Like we were talking about Bill Maher the other day. I think I remember it when we were jamming with everybody, and he was saying, "Can you imagine? Like it seems like lately all these, like P Diddy and Epstein, and they were living this life, and then they're like in prison, and they're like all in the same prison. A lot of them, it's just it's kind of how sad how you can fall, right?
It's true, and it's even crazier to me that like that some of these people that these things took so long, you
Yeah,
know? It's wild to me. It's kind of scary how small the industry is. And when you consider, like I had just posted something on social media the other day that showed that, somebody like Puff Daddy is worth, I mean, he's worth $2 billion, right? And like that publicly, that's what it says anyway on the internet. He's worth
sure.
about $2 billion. There's no one, and I mean no one, other than Jay-Z in the entire entertainment industry who has that amount of money. And we all know money is power in this country. So like, you know, even the people like Clive Davis, even the people like, Ron Fair, even the people like Ted Field and Jimmy Iovine and all these guys that were considered the top executives who ran the most successful labels in history, they didn't have $2 billion. Puff Daddy was pretty much the second only to Jay-Z most powerful person in all of music. I mean, like, so it's really insane to me, like what that, I mean, and what that looks like, because I feel like you wind up in this place of rarefied air. When you're that successful, you completely lose touch of reality.
True.
Because when's the last time, he went and hung out in like an ordinary town in West Virginia and talked to some guy that works at a grocery store and
Mhm.
did like something normal. And I think that there's a certain level of like just getting up there and losing all sight of reality, and you start to really just believe. You get drunk, I guess, on the Kool-Aid of yourself.
That's a good point because I always think, if, I would never do anything that these people did, but it's like if you did one thing and you got away with it, and then, you think, oh, the normal person I would think would stop and go, okay, I got away with that one. I'm never doing that again. But they don't. They just, I guess they're so, like you said, they're delusional and they're living in this, like, not in the real world. So like, they're just, and people just keep letting them get away with it because because they want to be famous or they want the money, like the women that she was involved with, and or
Well, it's like this, right? And I know because I was in this situation as an artist who came to LA to get a record deal, and you're essentially begging. I mean, it's true. You're this person. You have no money. You just have this talent. You have this dream, and you just want somebody to give you an opportunity so that you can pursue your dream.
or-
And 9 times out of 10, the dream, well, at least back then, I know now with social media, things have changed a lot, but back then it was more like most people I met who did music, they weren't like, I want to be rich and famous. That was never the dream. It was always, I make music that I think will touch people or affect people or impact people in some way. And the
Mhm.
more people who get to hear it, the happier I'll be because I want
Mhm.
to affect and impact more people.
Mhm.
And so you have this dream and it means everything in the world to you. It's all you think about. It's all you talk about. It's all you talk about with your friends. It's everything. And then you come in and you sit down and some high and mighty person
Right.
walks into the room and sits down and they know everyone in the industry and all the people you idolize are their friends and
Right.
all this stuff. And so yeah, you get sucked into that. And then when something bad happens to you and you're being taken advantage of, you sort of try to justify it in your mind as well. If this is what I got to do for my dream to come true, then I'm just gonna, it's like it happens like that. It's great and it's manipulative for people to take advantage of that. It's horrible. You know what I mean? And it happens. It sucks.
That's just
Yeah.
it's terrible, terrible.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's get off that terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you about your movie. So I know what inspired you, the story, New Shoes that I saw, the short that you did. Did you direct that? No, you didn't direct it, did you? New Shoes.
The short that I did, the film, yes, I did.
Oh,
I wrote and well, I directed it, but I had a co-director. The way that it worked was so strange. I hired a friend of mine, or I was hiring him to come in as a producer
mhm.
and produce it. And then because I had always known him to um direct music videos, which is like he would be holding the camera
Sure.
shooting music videos all the time. So I was like, well, I guess you're directing it because I just thought in my mind that's what the guy does that holds the camera.
Right. Not the
I,
cameraman.
yeah, yeah. I didn't know. I had never done a movie before. So I was like, yeah, I guess you're directing it. And so then we had agreed that that would be what it was. But then as time started to progress and I started to learn more about filmmaking, everybody was coming and telling me like, oh, so you directed a movie? I'm like, well, Boyan's directing it. And they were like, oh, well, what do you mean he's directing it? You're directing. Everything that you're doing right now is a part of the directing process. Like, and
Right.
I was like, oh, like I was selecting the actors. I went to the location. I was helping the actors block. I was talking what shots I wanted to see done and all this stuff. And everyone was like, yeah, you're directing this. And then when I started to see that Luke Ung, who was our DP,
Oh
came
yeah.
in and he was holding the camera, I was like, well, then what are you doing? I don't understand what you're doing. I thought you were supposed to be the one holding the camera. So the whole thing just got so confusing. And when we were on set, um, I was like, are you going to tell the actors what we're looking for? And he goes, no, I don't really do that. I don't direct actors. And I'm like, okay. And then people were like, well, then you're not directing.
Right.
That's part of directing. So I started directing the actors and the whole thing just got confusing. So at the end, I just went to Boyan and I said, I feel like at this point that I am a director on this film, and he didn't fight me on it. He's a very good friend of mine and a reasonable dude and very talented guy. And there's no way I would have made a movie this good without his help. I'm the first person to admit it. But I was a director on the film, and so that's when he was like, "Yeah, no, it's your story. You definitely were paramount in that process, so 100%." He accepted that. He just said, "Just give me a co-director credit," and I said, "Sure."
Right.
You know what I mean? But I will admit that movie wouldn't have been as incredible without his help, because he is truly a masterful person when it comes to his vision with stuff like that. And it was definitely, it was an effort between the both of us to make something great. 100%.
Where was it shot?
Western Massachusetts. And
Oh.
we tried to shoot it in the house that the actual story happened in.
Mhm.
We went there and we got freaked out because we went there and I knocked on the door and nobody answered. It's really a bad spot. And I banged on the door again, and then this guy answered who looked just like Charles Manson,
Oh my God.
like just like him, only he had this really long beard. So like Charles Manson right before they killed him, like the long beard,
Oh,
freaky
you're like,
looking
he's
Charles Manson.
escaped. He's escaped.
Yeah, and he opened up the door and he goes, "What do you want?" And I go, I used to live here and I want to shoot a movie and we were going to use this as a location. We wanted to know if that'd be okay. And he was like, "No." Boom, and shut the door. Like,
He said, even with a little bit of cash? No, I'm kidding.
yeah, he was not having it. So I was like, I was like, what are we gonna do? So we found a location. Boyan found a location, and it wasn't, we made it work. We had to kind of makeshift it
Right.
to be what it was, and there was some set design involved and all that. But
And that boy who played you as a kid, right? He was really good.
Jacob is in my view, he should become the next major
Like
actor.
he's a young
He should
Leonardo DiCaprio or something.
1000%. Absolutely. He's a young Leo, a young Tom Cruise, a young, like, he's 100% one of the most talented and respectful and professional people that I've ever met. And even as a kid, he was so like, man, it was like he was a pro. He was a pro and he cared about every detail. Why is that going there? Why is that happening there? Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. Like,
It was really
and I would,
a movie making process.
oh
Right.
yeah. And I even asked him, I said, you plan on like being a director or something? And he's like, well, I just want to know everything there is to know about this entire industry. And I'm like, I love this kid, like, it's
Right.
like,
Professionally, you love it when people that are good like that because they deserve it. You hope they get ahead, right?
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And then right after we did that movie, he got a role in The Black Phone. And it was just like, which to me, I wasn't surprised. I was like, yeah, of course, he's a talented kid. But, then that obviously helped a lot with catapulting the movie into a place where people were paying a little more attention. We can get into some festivals. So I got lucky with that, but not so much luck because, and I'm going to take full credit for this right now, because Boyan came to me in the very, very beginning, before we even like did anything. We didn't have a location yet. It was an idea. And he started going through these actors and thinking about different people that would be a good shot to play me. And he's like, I feel like it's so important we find the right guy for you.
Mm-hmm.
So he brings me like, I don't know, 6 different people or something. And he comes up and plays me the first kid, and it's Jacob. And I see this reel, and I was so blown away that I went, oh my God, that's him. That's the kid. That's him. He's a star. He needs to be in this movie. And he goes, whoa, 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 relax, relax, relax. We have a whole bunch more. I'm like, I don't need to see anymore. And he's like, no, 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 no. There's some really good kids. I was like, I don't need to see anymore. He's like, come on, let me just show you. Let me show you. I'm like, and he was getting like adamant. I'm like, okay, dude, if you feel like you need to show me. So he shows me a second one. I'm like, no. Shows me a third. And I'm like, no. And he's just like, you really hung up on the first one. I said, it's the first one. There's no doubt about it. And then there was some debate later on where he kind of was like, one of these other kids really had a good audition. I really think you should look at him. And I was like, I'm telling you right now, I've never been more certain of something in my life. That kid needs to play me in this movie. And that was the smartest decision that I ever made in
Yeah.
that film. Yeah.
He stood out, you know. I thought he seems like he's worked a lot, but maybe he's just a natural, right?
Yeah. His parents are also very supportive. And he has an incredible mom, Jerry Moran. She's like one of the most lovely people I've ever met.
Mm.
And, he is, she has, every desire to give her resources, connections, whatever she can do to make sure that her son gets to continue to follow through with that. And that's huge. I mean, that's like super huge, and he deserves it. It's not like he acts like this entitled kid, like, oh, my mom's going to help me or whatever. He's so respectful and he's so mature and well spoken. Even then, now he's, a few years older, and he's still just a really good kid. And, I mean, he's amazing. I could talk for hours about how wonderful that kid is.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's so great that you got to work with him. So what's going on with that movie now? Are you going to make a feature length of it, or are you moving on to other things, or do you not want to do anything right now with movies?
I would love to do a movie, but movies cost a lot of money, and I financed the last one, and I can't keep doing that. I'm not at that level. I wish I was. But no, I've got some people. I actually just last week had a meeting with some people on the phone that are possibly interested in helping me meet investors. But I've had that several times and it hasn't really panned out. So I try not to get my hopes up about it.
Yeah.
It's hard because it's a drama. And right now, investors run scared from dramas. If it's not an action film, a horror film, you're just not going to get any money, or a big giant, like one of the big IP films.
Right.
And it's just, it's hard to get money from people to make a drama. And they argue that they don't make money. And they say that drama films are better as Netflix series.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I would love to make a series about this story, but I mean, I don't really know if I could, talk about this for 5 seasons. It's a little much. So trying to stretch it out, so I don't know. It's a difficult, it's just difficult. I would love to get the full feature of this movie made, but I need somebody that's willing to believe and investing and putting up the money that this drama can do well. And I believe it can. I mean, Banshees of Inisherin was a drama and it did significantly well. And, I mean, it had some, obviously some great A-list actors in it, but at the end of the day, dramas do make money. And I just wish that there were still people in Hollywood who believe that.
I know, it's such a, what is it? It's such a random thing. What was that movie that Frances McDormand did, about the people, they weren't homeless, but they kept moving from place to place, and I can't think of what it's called, but that did really well like 2 years ago. And it was such a random thing that a movie like that, which could be really slow, it's just the right ingredients. It's just a fluke, so I can see why people are hesitant to, amongst all your different talents, I know that you are an entrepreneur and that you have this Kane. Oh, by the way, where did you get the name Thommy Kane? Because I know your real name is Abate. What is it? Abate, right?
Yeah. This is my favorite question. Because it's funny. I've been in LA a long time and nobody's asked me that. And I've often wondered why. I'm surprised people aren't confused by that.
Yeah, well,
it's completely made up. It's made up.
Okay.
I'll tell you how it happened. I was, rapping under the name Poverty, and because of my story,
Yeah.
and as the internet, obviously grew, it became like impossible for people to find me if you typed poverty in a Google search engine, because I didn't spell it differently. I just call it poverty. And that sort of made me have to go, okay, well, I have to change my name. And I didn't know what I was going to call myself. And one day I was dating this girl named Samantha Rennie, who is still one of my favorite girlfriends of all time. And I still love
Shout
that
out
girl.
to Samantha. What's your last name?
Rennie.
Rennie.
Well, I think she's married now, so it's Samantha McDougal.
Oh.
And she has a great husband, and they're very happy. She ended up marrying the guy she dated after me, which is super awesome.
You led her,
Um,
you groomed her for him. No, I'm kidding.
yeah, I know sometimes it feels that way.
That's what women always say
Uh,
about men. We're always like, we fixed him up for the next one, you know?
exactly. Yeah, I mean, I was bummed about that one because we broke up because she had to go to college and I had to move to Florida for a job, and
Mhm.
so it just didn't work out. But like we never really wanted to break up. It was just circumstance, and but
Right.
then she ended up meeting someone else, and good for her. She had a wonderful life. She has a few kids now, and we still are friends. Very, very sweet girl. But and she gave me my name, so I'll always be close to her for that.
But wait a minute. You said her name it wasn't Kane, was it? Was her
No,
name?
no,
Oh,
no. So I'll tell you how it happened. We were
okay.
sitting down on the floor and in my room, we were just chilling on the floor because that's what we did.
We were
Very
chilling.
bohemian.
Yeah.
And and I said to her, I was like, I need a new rap name, man. And I wish I had a cool last name. My last name sucks because it's a body and nobody even knows how to say it. No one knows how to spell it. I can't use that. Like I said, Marshall Mathers. Eminem's so lucky. He had the name Marshall Mathers. So he just went Eminem and then just
Right.
spelled it out. And he had this
Right.
cool name. I'm like, I need a cool name. And then she was just like, yeah, you need like a one syllable last name. And I said, yeah, like Tommy blank, like Tommy blah.
Okay.
And she just went, how about Kane? And I just went, I like that. I like that. Tommy Kane.
Right.
That's a really cool, I like that. And I said, what did Kane mean? And then I found it meant king. And like, I was like, that's really cool. I could do that. But then even after I started doing music under that name, I went down to Florida to sell advertisement working for this company. And I was calling myself Tom Abadi because it was my name. And my boss calls me in his office. He was such a brute. And he goes, Tom, a Beatty, however the hell you say her last name, is like, get in my office right now. And I get up, I walk in there, and he goes, how the hell do you say your last name? I said, Abadi. He goes, stop using that name. And I was like, what? He goes, stop using it. No one remembers it. No one's going to remember that they talked to you. You're in sales now. You need to have a memorable name. You need something cool. I said, well, my rap name was Thommy Kane. And he goes, that's your name then. You need to use that name. And I said, okay. So all of a sudden, as I started to sell advertisement in the business I was working in, all my clients knew me as Tom Kane. And then of course I put out music again and then got even bigger as Tom Kane. And so when I had my son, I told my kid's mother, I said, look, if I call him Roman Abadi, nobody will even know he's my kid because nobody knows me as Tom Abadi. Everyone knows me now as Tom Kane. And so I named him Roman Kane. And so now my son's also Kane. And I asked him because he now is old enough and I could talk to him. And I asked him at 11 years old, and I told him the whole story. I said, does that upset you or do you want my real name? And he was like, no, I love Kane. And he's so glad he doesn't want to get rid of it.
So it's a cool name.
Yeah. Roman was because of a football player named Roman Harper.
Oh, okay.
I was watching football. We were trying to come up with a name, and I saw this New Orleans Saints. I think it was a cornerback or something. And they were like Roman Harper. And I went, Roman, that's a really cool name. And I said,
Strong, right?
we should
Strong.
call him that. Yeah. Yeah. Love it. And
Uh,
not common at the
yeah,
time.
that's right.
Yeah.
I've heard it a couple times, but it's pretty rare. Now, a Beatty or body, whatever your name is that Italian? Is it Italian?
It is. Well,
I
yeah.
knew it.
Yes. Yes, it is.
I have a
Very
good,
good.
I'm into names and stuff, so that's cool. So how'd your dad feel about that?
He kind of gave me crap for a while for it. And he's like, oh, wonderful. So now my own son doesn't have my last name. My own grandson doesn't know. He gave me crap for it, but now he doesn't care because he's starting to realize that, that stuff doesn't matter. And it really doesn't. I mean, what do we like? A royal family, what are we passing on the lineage of like, King Henry V? Like,
Right.
yeah, it's like, it doesn't matter, it's
The
silly.
name is the name. I had a boyfriend once that he wanted to get married. He wanted to take my last name. My last name was Westervelt. And I, at the time I was like, that's weird. Don't take my last name, but he thought I had a cool name, so I was like,
You were like, no.
yeah, but I've heard of
Hilarious.
but some guys and girls do that now. Like the guy takes the girl's name or they combine it.
Yep.
So anyway, you have this Kane Publications, right? It's your company.
Sure. I own Food and Travel magazine. I actually have a few different magazines, but Food and Travel is the bread and butter. It's the main one that we seem to have a lot of love on.
Mhm.
And what we do ultimately is uh, we put together every 3 months a seasonal magazine that talks about the best destinations to travel to, and some of the best restaurants to eat at in the country for that season, like the best places to travel in the fall. If we're putting out a fall magazine, and we'll talk about some of the top locations and some of the best hotels you could stay at, some of the best food you can eat, and play restaurants and things of that nature. And that's ultimately what it is, but it's very, very popular. And uh yeah, I mean, we're in the process right now of working out a sponsorship from a huge brand that is world renowned, and I don't want to say who because it's not closed yet. But it it could be very, very huge if they come in, and we'll see what happens. But
You
yeah,
have
I
like a
mean,
partner? You'll have a partner or they'll
I don't. It's solely me. I would love to have a partner, but a partner would require an investment.
have to I need
Because
money.
yeah, I mean, at this point, I put I've leveraged everything I have for it, so someone would have to, join me with the risk. But at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, it's I'm working on trying to build an app for it. I'm working on a box subscription service that's going to be called Vacation in a Box, where we ship people a box and they open it and there's like food and travel branded charcuterie boards and various seasonings that are geared towards the foods you'd be cooking in that season, discounts for travel and coupons for lodging, artisan cheeses,
Mhm.
that various sort of thing, and it will all get shipped in a box. And we plan on doing that, and we also plan on doing a podcast like you're doing right now, where we have somebody interviewing some of the America's best chefs, travel bloggers, travel influencers and stuff, and people who work high up in the travel and lodging industry. And that's ultimately what we're doing. It's a huge brand that food and travel is kind of like an umbrella brand where
Sure.
we're just going to do all these things sort of related to it, if that makes any sense.
Well, you are quite a busy fellow,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Um,
it's a lot.
so, but I heard you oversaying the other day that you might move back east. Is that true? Like you might be back.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, my son lives back east and I want to be around him. I
Sure.
want to be a dad, and and that's it. Like I need to be closer to my son. I've gone through some things lately where I've sort of realized what's really important. And you know, uh a friend of mine who is a famous rock star, was Seth Binzer of Crazy Town, died of a drug overdose. And I watched how strangers were responding on the internet with their vitriolic comments and ignorant statements. And I thought about it and I said, here's a guy that at one time was, as big as Justin Bieber, in his prime. He was like the best looking guy in the world. Every model wanted to be with him. He was like, had the number one song in the world. Every guy wanted to be like him. He was monstrously huge. And now he dies a horrible death. And like these people are just like, oh, really? Who cares? I thought he died 5 years ago, whatever, one hit wonder, and all this like mean stuff, even though he had two hits. Um, and I guess you could say it sort of painted a picture in my mind where I realized that um, you can spend your whole life trying to win the adoration of strangers, and it's not valuable. It doesn't really have any value because they will turn on you in 5 seconds flat. The moment you say the wrong thing, the moment you are seen with the wrong person, or you went to the wrong party, or you associated with the wrong individual, or whatever, your entire legacy is tainted. Social media, mass media campaigns will destroy you, and you'll go from being beloved to being hated. And eventually, especially if you start to get older and your name and brand starts to fade, you'll just become some, with all due respect to Jack Nicholson, he's a legend. But where's Jack Nicholson right now? He's in a house what's he in his late 70s? He's got, I believe, from what people are saying, suffering from some sort of mental
Dementia.
issues. Yeah, dementia. And everyone just moves on, you know. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, you take time away from the people that really matter the most,
Mhm, mhm.
that really matter, like your loved ones, the people that love you, your family, your kids, your whoever, to pursue this endeavor of winning over these people when, that's how it's going to end for you. Like, uh, and, uh, and so I realized that, I love my son and I always maintain a relationship with him even when I'm here. But I've come to the realization that, um, I just need to be around him all the time. He needs to be my primary focus. I need to be involved on
Right.
a daily basis, and he needs to be my focus and not whatever this is out here. Because 50 years from now, no one will care that I walked the red carpet. No one will care that I won some film festival award. It won't matter to a single person. But my son will know I wasn't around.
Right.
And and that's where I'm at.
Right. Those are your priorities. And I
Yeah.
understand that's very mature of you, right?
Oh, thank you. Well, I don't know. I mean, I feel like it probably took me a lot longer than it should have to realize this. But thank you.
I don't know. I mean, sometimes we realize, I guess everybody matures at a different age, right? Sometimes we just, and considering that you had kind of a irregular, non-traditional, like upbringing, right? So it was probably
Yeah.
took you a little longer to figure these things out, right?
That would be very well stated. Thank you. Because it's true. It is true. It's 100%. Exactly.
I
You
mean, like
nailed
I
it.
said, you seem pretty well-rounded, like a well-rounded person, and you're not like what my one friend always says, you're not a self-medicator that I can see, right? So you didn't like become a drug addict or a alcoholic.
No, I really wish I had,
I know,
like,
right?
I
I always say
mean,
that. I'd be so much more famous. No, I'm
re
kidding.
reality has been so difficult and I wish I could have ran from it my whole life, but I've been right here in it. Like,
No, I don't have a problem with reality. I don't have an addictive personality, so that's why I could never become an addict of any kind.
no, it's true. I think I probably could have maybe gotten addicted to it. I know I tried ecstasy once and I remember going, I better never take this again. I'll end up doing this all the time.
I mean, I never took ecstasy, but I know I've heard that like famous people that I've heard, like they took heroin and like when they did it and they were like, whoa, they're like they just wanted that feeling like all the time, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, oh, yeah. And then, yeah, that's what I heard. I heard that like sometimes those drugs, they are so amazing the first time that you spend the rest of your life trying to feel that feeling that the first time gave you and you never get it. That's what I've heard. Um, but yeah, I've always avoided it because of my mom. I was just petrified and was just like, no, I'm going to avoid it. Never judgmental. I mean, all my friends have done it. I've been around friends who have been doing it all night, whatever. I don't care. I don't judge anybody. Everyone lives how they want.
Sure.
I myself have just been petrified to do it because of my mother, and what I saw happen, and it kind of scared the living hell out of me. So,
Good, that was good because yeah, I mean, I grew up. I had a couple cousins that got into, not they weren't. One of it died early from too much cocaine use, and so being around people like that, to me, I just always wanted to be in control. Like I like to be in control. I mean, I like to know like what's going on.
yeah, yeah.
So, but anyway, but I wanted to ask you that what's your favorite song off of the music that you just released? I mean, do you have a couple favorites? Do you?
Ooh.
Ooh,
Um,
baby.
I do. I probably have a couple,
Right.
but I think one of my favorite is probably um wow, I'm blanking it. There
You
was
just
30 songs, so I forget the names of my own songs. In Another Life would be probably one of my favorite.
is that the one that you said a lot of people were responding to? I thought.
No, Shooting Star. Shooting
Okay.
Star, everybody seems to think Shooting Star is like this really incredible record. They're like, oh my God, like Jacob, the kid who played me in the movie, he was like, man, Shooting Star is like,
That's
like
the
out of
man.
here. Yeah. And if you're like young and cool like him and you're saying that, like, I'm like, oh, but the good thing I love about music is that nobody cares anymore about how old you are. None of that matters anymore.
Hmm.
Music videos aren't even a thing anymore. A lot of kids listen to artists that they don't even know what they look like. They've been listening to them for months and months, and they're just like, I don't even know what they look like or what their name is. I just love their song. And this is becoming more and more prevalent. So
Yeah, you're right. It's like nowadays, I guess it's good that we don't put limits on people, you know. And also like the way you're releasing music, everybody can release things. You're your own little record company. Some people think there's too much, like there's too much product, but I don't think I think everybody should get a shot.
it's true. Yeah. And not only that, but I actually think that what we need now, right now, more than anything, is a new model for record labels. And the way that it would work, and I've thought about this long and hard,
Mhm.
would be what is the point of a label? A company that can give the artist what they need, right? What does an artist need? And the needs have changed. You know, back in the day, an artist needed a record label's PR department because you weren't going to get in Billboard magazine without them. You know, you needed them. We live in a different time where you don't need a lot of stuff that labels used to provide back then. You need different stuff.
Mhm.
One of the things you need is you need a team of people to do your social media. I uploaded that album. I have spent 2 days adding lyrics, 2 days, because there's 30 songs. And I already had the lyrics written, but as you know, when you're a songwriter, sometimes when you're in the booth, you change things and modify them on the fly, but they don't update in the lyrics. So you have to go through and update them. And then you have to modify them to be perfectly with the song. And then they have all these rules. Every sentence has to start with a capital letter. There's no punctuation allowed. You're only allowed, like, there's all these like rules. So I'm spending hours putting in these lyrics on this thing. And then let's say I want to like make a reel. I have to like shoot a video and then I have to download or like make a reel and then I have to make that reel. But then if I want to put a reel on another service, there's going to be other limitations. Like this app will let you do a 30-second reel, but the other one, will let you do up to 2 minutes. Like Twitter will only allow this many text, or there's all these different things. So as an artist, you end up becoming more of an entrepreneur and you end up spending all your time not even making music, but it's like you're running a full on business, having to like
Yeah.
post and share and message your fans. And you're doing this, you're doing that. You're trying to call and set up tours. You're doing all this. And what we need is we need a new model of a label that says, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to take you, because it's easy to make music now. It's not cheap. I mean, it's not expensive. You can
Right.
do it cheap.
Sure.
People are making good music in their house, in their basement now. So you just come in as a label and you go, look, we're not going to pay for your recordings because you already did it, but we're going to take a percentage of your masters. And in return, we have an engine of people that are going to do all your social media, that are going to promote it. We're going to put a little marketing dollars behind pushing it on the internet, YouTube, and so on and so forth. And we're going to take care of all of that so you don't have to, and you can just focus on making music and creating content.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that would be the new label. And if we created something like that, out of here.
Um,
Out of here.
Tommy, I think you should start that kind of label, because you're so good at like, I mean, maybe if you get more success, as you get more successful with your stuff, maybe that would be a next thing that you might think about.
I mean, I've been thinking long and hard about this. And another thing that would be great would be to offer the artist health insurance. And I know this sounds crazy, but
That'd be awesome.
giving artists the ability to have quality health insurance would be absolutely huge. And I think it would be, especially if you take this model and you go into Hollywood and ask investors now, while the old guard is falling and crumbling to the ground because everybody's going to jail for being dark and being at parties, doing stuff they shouldn't have been doing, and everything is horrible, and we're seeing through all that. We need a new model that respects individuals, that respects art, and that has a new system. And now's the time to launch a new record company that does just that and has that sort of like model behind its it has, what's the word I'm looking for, a corporate, and it holds itself accountable to its corporate responsibility, its corporate social responsibility.
Well,
That would be a game changer.
I think it's a great idea. It would be very hard to find people that are that good, like good people, but you know what I mean is that show that much respect and, like like SAG is pretty good that way. You know, I feel like Fran Drescher's been a pretty good union leader, and she's really looked out for the artists. The movie business is a little bit better about that kind of stuff because it's an older. Well, there's more money to be made, so it's always about the money, right? But with the record business, it's always been a little bit shady, you know. So I think you're right. We need, not that the movie business hasn't, but with the union strong, you know, the Screen Actors Guild union is very strong. So with the music industry, you're right. We need something that looks out for the artist, right? Because it's always been about how can we steal from the artist, right?
Sure. Like. Well, you know, every deal would have to have its own nuance, but I think because then you might get the artist that's talented but has no ability to record, and if you're going to invest all of it, then you're taking all the risk. And so at that point, you know, that's a different conversation. But a lot of artists already come with an album these days. A lot of them already do. I mean, I get hit like every day with 6, 7, 8, 10 different people that are like, check out my album, check out my album. They ain't signed. People can make music. So if you just say to them, look, you own your music. We're not going to give you money to go make music and then say we own your masters. You own it. Mm-hmm. We're just going to take a percentage of your masters because we have to get paid for our investment. Sure. But we're going to invest, and we're going to, you know, artists need help with music videos. Artists need help with social media, health insurance, logging into distribution and putting in the lyrics and all that stuff, uploading the correct artwork.
All that admin stuff.
All that admin stuff. You just need to basically say, look, we're essentially a label that's going to administer all these different things for you. And in return, we're going to take a percentage of your masters. And why wouldn't any artist, I mean, I could tell you right now, if somebody said that they were going to do that for me, I'd be like, hell yeah, you know, all day long, you know, like, I mean, why wouldn't you? That's a great situation.
Yeah, I agree. That's a really good idea. You know, I mean, like you said, because everybody's falling right now, right? And
yeah.
The music business is just, and it's so hard for anybody to make money, you know. But there's all different avenues that you can do. Like, you know, you can get your movie license for movies and television, and there's all that good stuff too, you know?
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think I see you as that person as doing that. I mean, eventually.
I would love to do it. I've been talking to a few people about it lately, and I mean, I really would love to do it, but it would take an investment. It would take like somebody we would need to go and get investment capital, because obviously to find artists and push them, it's going to cost money to do that. And then they have to trust that you have good judgment on the music that you pick. Right. Because if you put
like
money,
A&R person, right? Is that A&R? Yeah.
Yeah. Which is why I would think that you'd have to have a model where you put a certain amount of money behind you. Like, let's say you sign 20 artists and then you put like 20 grand behind all 20. Mm-hmm. And then the people that you see it working, obviously you funnel more money behind what's working, you know? Sure. And then you go back to those other artists and say, look, we put 20 grand behind it. We pushed it. We gave it a push. It's not working. Reconfigure it, figure something else out, or, you know, whatever. It's just not working. And then what I love about that is that it used to be that if you got a record deal, you didn't get to choose how you wanted to do anything. Mm-hmm. They would tell you what music they wanted you to make, what they wanted your sound to be like, you know, what your image needed to be like. They would tell you. And I remember being advised, look, if a label tells you what to do, just listen, even if you don't agree, because if it's their idea, they'll put money behind it. If it's not their idea, they won't put money behind it, right? So to get them to like prioritize you, you had to drink the Kool-Aid, be like, okay, whatever you guys want. Sure. So you ended up not being able to do your own thing. What I like about this is you're telling the artist, look, we let you do your thing. We put a little money behind it. It didn't work. Try again, revamp it, come back. We'll do it again. But I think if you have that kind of model, it kind of works, because if you spend 20 grand on 20 artists and, you know, if 2 of them really start taking off, all it takes is 1 to really take off, and you'll end up making insane amounts of money back. So,
I think that's a great idea. And, I know, I was going to say, you're going back to Boston. You're going back to Boston if you move back east, right? You're going back to Boston?
No, I haven't quite made up my mind on this. With the area where my son lives in Massachusetts, where my dad lives, they're like only an hour and a half apart. So like Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Southern Maine, that area is like one area.
Mhm.
So it's kind of hard to explain, but I might live in New Hampshire, I might live in Massachusetts, or I might live in Maine, but I know no matter where I live, I'm not going to be further than about a half an hour from my son and a half an hour to an hour from my father. I'll be in that area
What
somewhere.
I was going to say was, if you're going back to that area, you got to hit up all those musicians in Boston because there's a lot of rock stars that live in that area.
Exactly.
Hit up those guys, Aerosmith and all those other people that live up there.
Absolutely.
For the label, I mean.
Yeah, and be like, yo, let's go with this label. Let's go.
Since you're retired, like put in some. Don't you want to be around the music and see other artists flourish, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, and that's the thing is I believe in the art. I'm one of those suckers that believes in art, and I think that now that robots are going to take over everything, and they're coming.
Sure.
It's like art is really the only thing that we're going to have. It's that flawed thing. Robots can do art too, but they do it too perfectly, and perfect is the opposite of art. The thing that makes something beautiful is its flaws.
That's
you
true.
know so I'm a big believer in I do believe that at some point fans, I mean, it's already happening. If you go on TikTok and you look at somebody singing and they're all super auto-tuned and perfect at their vocals and everything in the video, you'll look at comments and people go, all right, bro, now do it live. Yeah, but can you do that live?
Right.
Kids are calling people out on their crap because they're sick and tired of being duped. They know that rhythm correction software and auto-tune exist, and they're like, dude, give us something real. And that's going to end up more and more and more happening, so that when AI is making everything fake and all this stuff, kids are going to be starving for real. And that's going to it's going to go right into the opposite direction.
Well, yeah, that's kind of happening all over because everybody wants authenticity, like this whole thing about people being real, not wearing makeup, and it's all that's kind of happening all over. Hey, before I forget, I wanted to ask you, because I saw you posted something about you want people to follow you on your YouTube channel, right?
Mhm.
And it's just
Yeah.
Thommy Kane, right? YouTube?
Yeah, Thommy Kane.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, sub and like any videos. Likes
Okay.
are huge. You know, I found out that the algorithm on YouTube will trend your video when you have a 10% like ratio. And that's pretty darn hard to accomplish. If you have 1,000 videos, you need 100 likes. If you have 10,000 videos, you need 1,000 likes. I mean, that's a high like count. But if you
Follow and like.
right, that's why those videos are always telling you, please like the
I
video,
know,
because
like and
that's how they get them to
subscribe.
go. Yeah, exactly. Like and subscribe.
And even the people that do my podcast, my friend Reddit's, he's always like, subscribe, ding, ding.
Or
It's
you see the little slider. You ever see the where it shows the hand go across and click the like button?
I know it's true. I am definitely going to subscribe to your channel because after I saw that post, because I saw that you said don't worry so much about getting your music like on Spotify. You'd rather people follow you on YouTube. That's what you said.
Yeah, well, no, I wouldn't. Well, I wouldn't mind if people follow me on Spotify. I guess but I will say that, like, yeah, I think that the most valuable thing that you can do for any artist right now is probably three things.
Okay.
You don't need to give them your money.
Yeah,
You just need to sub their YouTube,
got it.
follow their Spotify, and like their videos. And if you do that, you're helping them in a major way. You don't need to do, and maybe comment. You know what I mean? Maybe throw a comment because that's engagement. But
Yeah.
like, we're talking about something that takes 5 minutes of somebody's time, if that, 2 minutes of somebody's time, and it's cheap. It doesn't cost you anything, and that is how you help someone who's in the arts right now.
That's true. You're so correct. Yeah, so I know your website is tommykane.com too, though, because I looked you up and I saw your website. And you have a blog, but you haven't blogged much lately.
Oh man, I can't believe you look. I haven't even updated it in so long.
Because I didn't see your new music on there. I'm like, he didn't even put his new stuff on here that I saw.
Yeah, that website's been just sitting there for a long time. I feel like
it's cool though. The eyes look really cool. Like whoever did that, the photography,
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, it's
That's
good.
awesome.
Yeah. Oh, and I wanted to ask you. So as we're going out of this little interview, I'm going to play one of your songs. Which song do you want me to play?
Ooh.
Ooh,
Um,
choices.
uh,
Don't tell me when I'm going to pick the one.
Shooting Star.
Oh, Shooting Star. Okay, I'm going to write that
Yeah.
down for it.
Have you heard that one yet?
I don't think so. Because is that no? That's not the one you told me when I texted you. But no, I don't think I've heard it.
Okay.
So I will listen, and I will, as we're fading out, I will put it. Obviously, I'll put it in edit. I'll put it on.
That's so cool. And
Yeah.
yeah, if you do get anything, just do a dispute and I'll take
Oh,
care of it
right.
on my end.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
if anything like that happens. Because I want you to be able to monetize the video. I don't want it to, because otherwise all your video money from the video will end up going to me. It will,
Well,
I'm
hey,
serious. It'll,
win some, you lose some. No, I'm kidding.
yeah.
Like we only play it like for under.
There is something like that, but I don't remember how long I think there is something like that. Like it could be under like 10 seconds or
Right,
something. I
right.
think that's true. Yeah.
Huh, okay.
I have to look it up. ChatGPT will know the answer to
I
that
know,
question.
believe me, I becomes reliant on that. Like, what's the name of the blah blah blah? I just put it in there. It's like everything is, AI. I'm like, is my brain becoming mush?
I feel like mine is. I don't remember anything anymore. I feel like because I haven't had to use it. I
Right.
haven't had to use it like even remember we used to have to remember people's numbers.
Oh my God, I know, right?
Yeah, like now
I
you
have
don't
a,
even.
I have a friend who's older, like I don't know, I think he's in his 70s, and he knows everybody's number by heart. He memorizes everybody's number, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I only remember my one phone number from when I was growing up, the house number, which is still the same.
Yeah,
It's a landline. So it's my parents' number, and so I still remember that number. Other than that, and my own number, I remember my own number, but other than that, I don't remember any numbers.
it's so funny, man. It's like yeah, we have all these contacts and like I mean, it could be your closest, it could be your mom, it could be your boyfriend, it could be like the closest people to you, and you don't know their number. We don't know anyone's number anymore. It's just crazy how little we have to use our brain anymore. It's kind of scary.
I know it's sad, and I've been trying to read more, but then I'm like, oh, then I do it before I go to bed, and then I'm like, oh, I'm so tired. But I mean, I do try to read. I mean, I have been. I'm really stubborn about it. Like, I'm going to finish this book if it kills me. So anyway,
But by the way, you look absolutely fantastic. I just
well,
want to tell you that
just
you
made
did
some. I made some efforts.
it. You look awesome. You always look great, though. Every time I see you, you look well put together. You look you're
That's
really in your feminine element all the time, and it's really nice.
I try to
You know,
be. I try to be. Why not be feminine? I enjoy being a girl. That's like an old musical. You get more confident with yourself. You don't
yeah,
have
you radiate confidence. I
really.
never ever. Oh, yeah, absolutely. You don't ever have. You have such amazing energy. You don't ever have a negative bone in your body. You're always happy. You're always smiling. You come over, you always sing. You're all about the music and having a good time. It never feels if there is stuff you're going through, you're very good at hiding it, I guess, but you always seem like a light and a joy and a
Oh,
pleasant person to be around. It's true. I'm serious.
no, it's 100% real. I'm not faking that. But I mean, I have my down moments, but I try, if I'm going to be that way, I don't usually go out because I don't want to like bring that to anybody.
Yeah. That's
So,
kind of like me too.
yeah. But I mean, if I get really down, I know if I go to bed the next day, I'm going to feel better. I just always know and it's never been, obviously like if someone passes away or it's a real tragic, then it takes a long time. But I'm just talking about daily stuff that, disappointments. I usually get better the next day. I think
Mhm.
some people, you were probably like this. I was talking with a friend of mine about this too. It's like some people are just born with more, what's the word? Positive outlooks, optimistic, more optimistic. Uh,
Sure.
I'm not a pessimistic person. I'm always like, oh, it can get better. We can do this. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
It's no, it's a that's a great personality trait. I'm more like the person that if all hell breaks loose and we are in the worst situation imaginable, like we're looking at death, it's so
Mm,
bad.
mm.
I'm totally like everything's
So,
great. Don't even worry about it. We're gonna figure this out. But heaven forbid if I can't find my keys. You know what I mean?
so you're good in a crisis, except for when you can't find your keys, right?
I will flip out and be so mad and so upset over the stupidest little thing, but not like at other people, at myself. I hold myself to this like high standard where I get mad at myself for disappointing myself for like, why did I lose my keys? I don't even pay attention to where I put my own keys, or like I'll get all upset about something like that. But then like, and that's so stupid. But then something like, breaking down on the side of the highway in the middle of the Mojave Desert with no gas and no phone reception. And I'm like, don't even worry about it. We got this. We're gonna figure this out. It's just weird how that works.
It was really great talking with you, and I hope I see you like at our next music thing, which is maybe going to be this Friday, right?
Yes. Sorry, I just realized I was so close to the camera. Anyway,
you just did a whole hour so close to the camera.
Yeah, I'm like way up in front of it. Like
I know, and I'm like, I never get it perfect. Like I'm either too much down here, I'm too up here, I'm too close, But anyway, so but I want to say goodbye, and I'm gonna play your song. And wait, you told me Shooting Star, right? Shooting Star.
Yeah.
Shooting Star. I'm gonna play that as we go out, so you'll hear it.
Okay, that's awesome.
Bye, Thommy. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for being on.
No worries. It was a pleasure.
Okay. Bye. In and out of my life,